Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gaiman. This is the PGA Championship Round 1 recap. Breaking it all down, the first round of our first major of the year. And joining me to do so, let's bring him in. Kyle Porter. KP, how are you enjoying this primetime golf late recording session?
Yeah, it's I'm like 13 hours deep, so I'm giving like fashion takes on Twitter right now. So we need to shut it down soon. But I've got some good takes on round one.
You've got a few more hot takes left. Greg Ducharme also joining us. Greg, actually even an hour later for you, right? You're our East Coast guy.
Yeah, this is a late one, which I love. I love when they're prime time because I can get all the action. I can work my day job. I can come back and I get to watch a whole afternoon. It's great. So this was a fun one, and I can't wait for the rest of the week.
We are on YouTube, so make sure to check us out on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe. Hit that notification bell because we do these round by round recaps. You're going to want to get them as soon as possible. Check us out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify as well. Gentlemen, we'll start at the top of the leaderboard, just as we all saw it coming. Jason Day and, oh my God, Brendon Todd again at the top of the leaderboard. Let's go one by one. Jason Day finished his round earlier, so we'll start there, KP. This has kind of been brewing. I guess it feels like, right, Jason Day in the midst of a really good run of golf right now. We know he's dominated PGA Championship. So on a scale of like 0 to 10, how surprised should we be here?
Like a 2. I mean, he's been playing really well. And we've talked about this. Like when he was the best player in the world, he was also the best putter in the world. And he's not right now. He was the best putter in the world for like 2 or 3 years, right? And he's not right now, but that actually, to me, engenders more. He's hitting the ball well. If you get on Data Golf and look at what do they do? Like a 50 event or 50 round like rolling average.
Yep.
His numbers on approach shots and off the tee are like the trajectory is up like this, and it hasn't been over the last few years. So 3 straight top 10s coming in. He was, I think, my best bet to finish in the top 10 this week.
That's right.
And I mean, it's not. I don't know. I think you mentioned this on HQ. Do you worry about having like a Chambers Bay moment where like his body breaks down and we're just like, wait a second, what's going on here? I mean, is that something that's in play?
I don't think it's in any more play this week than it is any week.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? I mean, he literally looks fragile every single time he picks up a tee or picks his ball out of the cup. So I don't think it's different this week.
With him and Tiger, you watch him and they're kind of like gingerly walking around, and then you look up and they're taking just hacks through this rough, and you're like, I don't get this. How does this add up? It's I don't know. It's crazy, but I think Day will be there throughout. I mean, it's not like it's not a Martin Keimer situation where the guy hasn't been playing well. He pops up because his putting stats are good. Jason Day's been playing really good golf, and I think he'll stay in it throughout.
It was a bogey-free round, Greg. He hit the irons well, as Kyle is alluding to, especially the long irons. I mean, there's a couple of par 4s out there at Harding Park that are like, getting close to 500 yards. The 9th hole, which was playing the most difficult of the day, I think he hit it to like 5 feet there, rolls the putt in. I mean, it was a pretty impressive day by Jason Day, all in all.
And health aside, look, we like to Kyle's point, we're always worried about Jason Day and his health. And as you have said, Rick, and I couldn't agree more, this is something that it's a major concern for him. Every time he hits a shot, every time he moves, we're worried about him. So it's hard for me to have a ton of confidence going forward, which is it's hard for me to say because he's kind of in this limbo land where it doesn't really matter what his stats say. It doesn't really matter what he's doing or how he's playing or what his recent form is because I'm just waiting for that moment. And I do think this week, the chance of that happening, and probably not a Vertigo Chambers Bay type moment, but more like throwing the back out, the back locking up. I do think it's higher this week because because it's a little bit colder, and cold weather tends to lend to those injuries. They tend to flare back up. They tend to pop up in cold weather more so than in warm weather. So that is a worry for me. But to the other thing Kyle was saying about how he was the best putter in the world. In 2015, 2016, he was also a great iron player.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Even in 2018, he was second in strokes gained putting, but the game kind of fell off aside from 2 wins early in the season because of his iron play. 142nd in 2018, 127th in 2019, 117th this year, but the past couple of weeks have been better. So to see Jason Day finish 4th today in strokes gained approach the green, it's a good sign. I mean, he's definitely got something going on with that golf swing.
I think it's kind of weird that Day, you don't think about him not being, I don't know. I just think about him throughout his career. He hasn't really been, there's been a couple years when he's been great from tee to green, but I think of him as a better tee to green player than I think the stats actually show, like consistently throughout the course of his career. I'm curious about both of you guys. Do you have more confidence in staying power for him or Brendon Todd? Because it's different, right? Like the Day thing is like, okay, is he going to like, can he pick the ball out of the hole? And the Todd thing is like, well, we've sort of seen this movie before and twice in the last, month and a half.
I personally, I think Day has more staying power. That whole ginger thing that he does where he looks like he is going to break in half when he bends down, that is apparently protective, and he's doing that on purpose. Like, I think it looks worse than it actually is. Now, the fact that he has to do that worries me, Greg, so I'm interested in your take on this, the fact that he actually feels like he has to protect it. But I think it looks worse than it is. Brendon Todd, we could just run what we said like last Thursday or Friday. Yeah. He's making a ton of putts. We'll see if he can do it for the rest of the week.
So here's the thing with Jason Day. We're not making this up. This isn't a pit. This comes from what Jason Day says. And Jason Day has told us, basically, I'm a ticking time bomb, right? If I bend down to pick up a tee at any moment, this could be, I could throw my back out. And it's been his frustration. He's laying in his bed at 32, wondering, well, if I retire now, is that too early? Can I make it to 40? Can I make it to 35? Like, he's had those moments, which I know Tiger Woods has had those moments as well. It's something that none of us know or will ever know what that moment feels like, where you wonder if your career is over because your body just can't do it. So now that being said, if he is healthy and what he's doing is solely protective and it's really feeling great, I mean, the evidence would show that he's healthy. And the only thing that gives me concern is what he has said about how it's a ticking time bomb. But, if he really is healthy, then Jason Day, without question, has more staying power. He's been there before. He's won a PGA Championship. He's been the number 1 player in the world. He is a proven commodity for sure. And Brendon Todd has a lot of proving to do, not only clearly to us, but also to himself, more importantly to himself. And there's not a lot of evidence that would say he's ready to do that this week.
Brendon Todd has not played at the PGA Championship since 2015, where he missed the cut after going 5 over. But KP, it's 2020 and it's the year of the Todd Father. I mean, is this guy serious? Is he serious?
It's every week, I'm just looking at his major finishes. So he played 1 major in 16, 17, 18, 19, and that was the U.S. Open last year at Pebble, and he missed the cut. He's only had 1 top 15. That was at the 15 Open. Who won the 15 Open? Was that that wasn't Phil. Phil was 16. Who was 15? Who was the year before?
No, Phil was 13.
Well, Zach Johnson.
The Phil Stinson.
Zach Johnson.
Zach Johnson in the
That's
playoff.
Right. That's right. I think it would be a cooler story if he hadn't lost the Travelers, if he hadn't just played terribly at the St. Jude, because you look at it and you're like, I sort of know what's going to happen. Like, I don't know. Like, it's hard to get really excited about it. It's great. Like, I think that, and I said this at the end of last week, the cool part about Brendon Todd is the level that he's played at all year. It's not necessarily the wins. It's the fact that he's playing like a top 30 guy in the world a year after being not even a top 500 guy. And so I think that's the cool part, is playing at that consistently high level. But I don't believe it's going to translate into a win at a major, not with this leaderboard, right?
Not with this leaderboard and Greg. I mean, it's literally it's just like the same story every Thursday. Brendon Todd gains 3.5 strokes putting, and we talk about him. It's remarkable at this point. It's one of my favorite stories, quite honestly, of the year.
Yeah, it is. And he's great. And to Kyle's point, I mean, is a guy who has come from the full swing yips. So the comeback story, I mean, comeback player of the year, whatever that award has changed to, is a lock for Brendon Todd this year. That's no doubt. And it's no doubt one of the stories of the year. But at the same time, you're 100% right. The staying power with him is highly in question. And it's probably, it's very likely he's gonna have to prove us wrong in order for us to pick him, right? In order for us to come to the Brendon Todd side and say now he's finally ready. I think we're not gonna say that until he does it. And it's so interesting because he's won twice this year. Like, he's already done it twice. But it's basically 275s. And that's really why. It's not like he got beat and he shot 68 and he got beat by somebody who shot 62. This isn't Gary Woodland in the final round of the Century Tournament of Champions last year, who shoots 5 under and Xander catches him somehow. This is a guy who goes out on golf courses where people are making birdies and shoots 75. And so there's a clear moment for him where it switches, and how well he's playing doesn't matter anymore. This is the thing too with statistics that we look at. I know this is something that Mark talks about all the time, but it ultimately, once you're in contention, it comes down to moments. And with Brendon Todd, I'm not sure that he's ready to stand up in a moment and overcome it. Even though statistics would say, yeah, he's playing great, he's putting great, he continues to put himself in position. At what point is he going to overcome the moment? And is a PGA Championship really the place, the time and place where he's going to do it? I say highly unlikely.
Yeah, I say highly unlikely too. I mean, look at the way, I mean, it's equal parts. It's both incredible, like what he's doing, and also worrisome for the rest of the week. Look at how he played the 9th hole. So the 9th hole is 518-yard par 4, second hardest hole on the course. It's playing like a third of a stroke over par, maybe half a stroke over par. He hits his tee shot 286. So he's got 232 in. And you're like, wow, that's a lot. Like, so he hits his second shot 213. He's got a putt of 66 feet. And then he leaves himself with a par putt of 10 feet, nails it, gets in the house at 65. And you're like, that's incredible, but it's also not sustainable. Like, is that how you're going to play the 9th hole every day this week? It's just, I think especially in a week like this where we're going to see great drivers of the ball like float to the top of the leaderboard. It's not going to be Brendon Todd. How much, we were texting about this, how much would he have to be up by on Saturday night for you to put some shekels on him, put some checks on him?
I said jokingly 15, but like, I'm not sure I'd be all that comfortable with 5.
No, not 5.
I've seen him waste 5 on the 12th hole alone at River Highlands.
10.
See, 5 is almost like the uncomfortable. You start getting into that kind of 4 to 8 range where he should do it. Like it's enough where he should do it, but you know that there's always that chance that it's ugly. If it doesn't happen, it's ugly. If you lose a 3-shot lead, you can play well and lose a 3-shot lead, and it's not like it's not necessarily hard to watch. You start getting up into that 6-shot lead range, and it starts to get really worrisome and really hard to watch. But to put shekels on him, there's not a point where you can, because the odds get so if it's a 10-shot lead, the odds are nothing, right? How are you going to?
That's right. If he was up 10 on like Brooks on Saturday night, I would not feel good about Brendon Todd winning.
Especially if they're in the final group together.
Because he shot, what did he shoot at Travelers? 70, 74, 76?
I think 75. Yeah, it was 75.
I think it was 70 because that's a par 70, right?
And then I shot 76 at Memorial and 75 again last week.
Yeah, so 75 last week. JT shoots 65. That's a 10-shot swing.
Happens quickly.
Yes, things were moving very quickly for Brendon Todd.
Yeah,
it is major season, which means Brooks has come to party. He's out, baby. Sun's out, guns out. The sun's not
Yeah.
even out. He is out here rolling. He is trolling. He is doing it all. Greg, we'll start with you on this. I watched Brooks Koepka shoot a ho-hum 66. I watched him take a jab at golf not being scientific with Bryson DeChambeau, and I fell in love with Brooks Koepka again today. He's the best guy ever.
This must have been like the hardest year for Brooks ever. Because what does he have to play? There's nothing to play for until August.
He had to wait till
So
August.
Brooks has just got to be bored out of his mind. I mean, look, we take that with a grain of salt, but he just kind of proves that point every year where there's nothing. If there's not a major going on, Brooks, look, it frustrates me because I know he cares. I've seen him work at the game personally. He's down at Medalist all the time. And when I worked there, he would be there all the time. He's one of the hardest workers there. But there's this notion that comes from his success in majors that he doesn't – it's like a knock on everything else. Everything else is bad because of how good he is in major. It's so impressive. He sniffs it out. I don't know how you do it because he went and saw all of his coaches, right? He goes and sees Pete Cowan. Pete Cowan looks at his swing. He's got Claude Harmon out there. He switches putting coaches. It's like, okay, he's cramming for a test. It's like me when I was in college. I didn't really do a lot of studying until, okay, I'm about to fail this class. It's time to kick it into gear. And now I'm going to go and study and I'll make some grades. Brooks does this. It's like he's cramming for a test and it works. And I'm amazed. I'm in awe. And I'll let you guys go on about the Brooks, but I loved that smile he gave afterwards.
I was sick.
I don't know what time we were on HQ, like the first time, KP or whatever, but there was a moment. So he through his first 3 holes, and one of them you're supposed to take advantage of. He was 1 over through 3.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh crap! Like here we go. This is it. And then he can do this. He birdies 4 of his next 6. He just puts it into another gear, and he has a gear that a lot of guys just can't get to.
Yeah, I don't know whether to be annoyed or in awe. I mean, don't pull the tapes, but you and I basically we declared him dead, like legally dead, like a month ago.
Yep.
And then I sort of like shame on us shame on me. You guys picked Koepka to win, or one of you who picked Koepka? Did you?
Both did.
Both of us.
So shame on me because I said this before we went on HQ. Just write me down for Koepka for the next 25 majors. Like I did pick him in our one and done because he's the only guy I had left. But, I don't understand it. Like I don't understand how you can go from like can't even make the Workday Charity Open cut to just mowing down people at a major championship course. Like why do you even play any of the other events? Like just play 6 times a year, right?
Well,
like,
I will say on that, Kyle, I believe that he was really struggling with his game. I don't think it's I don't care. I really don't think that's the case. I mean, I've heard stories about this guy when he was a kid. One of the coaches at our academy knew his coach growing up, and Brooks was a guy who his parents would come to pick him up at the course, and he would throw complete temper tantrums saying, "No, I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving." And he was a real hothead, and he's learned to kind of channel that. But the point is, he's always been fiery, and he's always cared a lot. So I think he uses PGA Tour events as spring training, and it's just practice rounds for him. And he has somehow figured out how to peak for these 4 tournaments.
I think it's great. He didn't even drive it that well on Thursday, and the control that he has over his second shots right now it's insane. And it just
so this won't show up in the strokes gained numbers, KP, but like even when he was like 20 or 25 feet in, he was pin high every single time. His distance control was immaculate on Thursday.
Yeah, it was really good to the point where if he hit like 1 or 2 bad shots, and it was jarring. Like whenever it is jarring whenever he hits a bad shot. His last 8 rounds, I looked this up. His last 8 rounds at PGA Championships, he's after those rounds, he's third, first, and then third again today. That's crazy.
That was not a broken record. It's actually that many firsts.
Yeah.
We did not just loop the tape.
So I don't know. I shame on me, and the the troll, like, he's an unbelievable character, and
Yes.
you can tell he loves playing the role and
Mhm.
just jabbing at Bryson, and it frustrates Bryson way more when he does it than when Bryson does it. Like, Koepka doesn't even care when he's like, "Oh, who?
Oh,
Like, what? Like,
no.
it's like an ant attacking a human."
Bryson's the little brother, and Brooks just like swats him away all the
Yeah.
time.
I mean, if we like, look, we do this thing where it's like, oh, we don't deserve this leaderboard. 2020 has sucked so much. We actually do deserve Brooks and Bryson on the weekend, and to get them in a final pairing at a major on Saturday or Sunday would be. I mean,
what kind of odds do you think you can get on that?
On those two in the final group?
Yeah.
Well, not so bad after today.
yeah, Bryson played well because. He said this after his round, but the wind picked up late, and he was just like fighting it coming home. So it'll be interesting. I think it was a stroke harder in the afternoon. I'm interested to see what Friday is, because it feels like more early late is the easier wave.
It was a stroke harder. Bryson goes out. He shoots 2 under. He got to 4 under at one point. He doesn't have a top 10 in a major. Now that we've covered that, we can talk about him breaking his driver. This is all anybody wants to talk about. So let's talk about this. He snaps his driver, okay, but not during the swing, bending down to pick it up, whatever. He gets to replace it. What about, boys, when he is now actively engaging a cameraman walking down the fairway saying, wow, that was weird. It must be all them shots I hit. And the cameraman, I've never seen this before in my entire life. The cameraman is talking back to him. Has anyone ever heard a cameraman respond in a live sporting event? This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. The whole thing was crazy.
So I have this, we have this group chat, and this is a different group chat. And one of the guys in it, who is a broadcaster on a major network, said he was talking about Bryson, and he was like, this is like the best, like, he's like, it's like he's one content provider and everyone else is another content provider. Because if you would have said before the round, who's going to snap their driver on the 7th hole, and there's going to be this whole ordeal about getting, everybody would have said Bryson. Like, he would have been the only answer that anybody gave. And I don't know. He was a little bit of like, he was who we thought they were who we thought they were. Like, he just he drove it great, and he didn't do anything else all that well, and he still posted a score. And so it's like, man, if he gets hot with a putter, which he's been putting well, if he starts hitting some good wedge shots, he's really going to be in it, I think, throughout the weekend.
It was actually overshadowed by him trying to protect the brand with how good, Greg, he actually was. I mean, he got to 4 under, and a little bit unlucky. He got to a part of the course that was a little bit more exposed. The wind kicked up. He makes a couple of bogeys coming in, but Bryson is in this thing.
Yeah, I tell you, he looks really good. And the things that I thought may kind of hinder him, I guess I would say they're still in play, but one of the major things is definitely limited. See, this is I was talking to Jacob about this before you guys got on, but it's really hard when you're not on the property to get a real feel for how it's going to play. So the reports are that the rough is really thick, but you don't get an accurate assessment of what that means until Thursday, until you see it. And what we saw today out of the rough was there are opportunities for bad lies, but there are also a lot of opportunities where you can still advance the ball all the way to the green. And with the greens being as receptive as they were today, it wasn't necessarily that big of a deal. So you can miss fairways as it stands right now. And that is a huge advantage for Bryson. So, to me, I look at Bryson and I think the putting has become kind of a strength. And I think that it is a story to watch. And there's going to be a moment in this tournament where Bryson faces a putt that is kind of a must make, kind of a stay in the tournament, or your chances are kind of done. And I can't wait to see what Bryson does, because there aren't a lot of putts I can think of for Bryson, even in his career, where this is a critical moment, a high pressure putting moment. There hasn't been a lot of those, like there has been for a Sergio Garcia, an Adam Scott, a Tiger Woods, a Jordan Spieth. I can't wait to see how Bryson handles that. So I think he's definitely going to be a factor heading into the weekend.
Yeah, the one I can think of there is when he won Memorial a couple years ago. He had a decent like a sort of longish putt. Although I don't know if he won by 1 or 2.
I think he won. I think he won by 2.
Okay, so maybe it wasn't as pressure as I'm remembering. I got a couple more things on this club break thing because it's unbelievable. So last year he said, we are now starting to understand how shafts truly work, talking about the shafts in his driver and his irons. And apparently we're not, because it did not work for him on Thursday. And then after his round, did you guys see his post-round interview?
I saw his 3-minute ad.
Oh my gosh. Like, he gets on there, and Tom Rinaldi is great with it. He's kind of teeing him up on different things that happen. And he's going into like how materials break down and how that was at fault for these amazing shafts that are in his driver. And I'm like, can I order one for like $99.99 right now? Is there a number
Use promo code Bryson?
Yeah, that I can text in. Is this like, what are we doing here? It was unbelievable. And he just kept going. He went for like 90 seconds on his driver shaft, and how it's like sustained all this power and all this speed for so long, and it finally broke of all times today. It's like, what is this?
Golf
By the way,
is the best.
He won the Memorial in a playoff, so you were definitely right on that one. But on the shaft thing, and I'm only saying this for one reason, you guys know what it is. I think when he replaced the shaft, he gained a little bit of distance.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
he
apparently
did. Yeah.
Tiger Woods. Let's talk about Tiger. Did exactly, Greg, what he needed to do on a Thursday morning. Go out, shoot 2 under par, get the long layoff until Friday, be ready to rock and roll. This could not have gone any better for Tiger on Thursday.
It's fascinating because and if you heard Tiger's post-round interview, he was talking about how he didn't expect that many people to shoot 4 under. And I've always thought Tiger is one of the best judges of kind of how a tournament is going to play and what scores are going to be. He's always on point with where I need to be through each round. And he very much like Jack Nicklaus, and Kyle, you've made this point about how Jordan Spieth peaks at the right time. Tiger's always building towards something, typically towards Saturday. And so I'm kind of curious because in one sense, he's only 3 back of the lead and he's sitting right there in position. And you're thinking he did exactly what he had to do. And Tiger hit his target today, but he wasn't expecting to be tied 20th at 2 under par. So I'm interested to see how a packed leaderboard like this, what Tiger does tomorrow to emerge. But yeah, he held on strong. I mean, there wasn't really a lot of greatness coming out of the round. I guess the new putter, maybe a highlight of the round. He hit some quality iron shots, but it wasn't like he dominated in any one area. And to me, that kind of bodes well heading into Friday and the rest of the weekend. So I can't wait to see him tomorrow afternoon.
I thought you said this about Koepka earlier. I thought Tiger's distance control was really good, and the part about his round that I thought was impressive. He goes 2. I think he birdied 2 of his first 4. And then he goes 7 holes where he only hit 1 fairway for like 7 or 8 holes. And he only played those in 2 over. And it felt like he should have played him in like 3 or 4 over. He made the 20-footer on 18. He's kind of holding things together. And I feel like that's a stretch where the actual problem with Tiger the rest of the week is he's going to have to drive it really well. And I don't know if that's like in the cards right now. Like, I don't know if he's capable of driving it accurately enough to win this tournament. So he holds it together on Thursday, and you're like, well, that's meaningful if he can figure out how to hit fairway. I mean, and he did it early on, but he struggles to do it for a sustained period of time. If he can figure out how to hit fairways later on, then we'll look back on the 7 or 8 holes on Thursday and be like, wow, that was crazy that he was able to hold it together and get it to Friday when it could have gone pretty sideways.
Yeah, I thought it was a very hard-working 2 under par. I thought he worked very hard for it. He had a couple of shots that weren't very. I mean, he started his day with 2 really poor shots, ends up getting away with it with a great flop and makes birdie on the first. And I was shocked to see that was Houdini like there. All right, gentlemen, we've got a couple of more golfers to talk about. We got some plays and fades for Friday, but first we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners. And we're back. There is golf on television this weekend. CBS is your home for the PGA Championship. We have plenty of ways for you to watch, including streaming on OTT devices through CBS All Access. You can also watch for free on CBSSports.com or the CBS Sports mobile app. Coverage begins at 4 Eastern time on Saturday, a little primetime action, and 3 Eastern on Sunday, so you don't want to miss it. Boys, there is a group of golfers in the Chase pack. Greg, I assume you've got your eye on Xander Schauffele, who is he went out there. I think he only had 1 bogey on the day. He's looking as solid as we kind of all expected him to be.
You're talking about 3 over par holes in the last 90 holes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this guy is in really, really, really good form, and he's kind of been. The Charles Schwab Challenge was an event, the first event since the restart. I really feel like Xander let it get away. And I think Xander looks in the mirror and said, I gave that tournament away. And it affected him the next week. But since then, I'm seeing a determined player. I'm seeing a guy who's really on the brink of something special. And he is, as you like to say, Rick, he's a big game hunter. And when Xander man, the game is setting up perfectly. He's trending in the right direction. You talk about tied 20th at the Travelers, which is kind of an okay finish, tied 14th at Workday, tied 13th at Memorial, tied 6th at the FedEx St. Jude Invitational. There's nobody who's kind of ascending this way on such a kind of a perfect trajectory. And the way that he's controlling his golf ball right now is phenomenal. He's driving the ball well. He's making putts. And again, there's not a lot in his game right now when you look at his stat breakdown that says, okay, this guy's just doing he's only in the lead because of one thing. I mean, he had a good putting day, right? He's 15th in strokes gained putting, but he's 18th around the green. He's 62nd approach to the green, 20th off the tee. He's fairly level all the way around, and I think that bodes really well for him heading forward.
Like JT.
Yeah.
It's kind of JT light a little bit. Oh, what did Rick left?
Yeah, we lost our fearless
Rick's gone.
leader.
We've lost Zach Johnson. We've lost Rick. We've lost the course. So if we want to talk about other guys in the top 10, or kind of guys chasing, I mean, my big question is whether Mike Lorenzo Vera and Brendan Steele can hold off Brooks Koepka on the weekend. Not really. The guys that I look at, Scottie Scheffler was my sleeper. He's a great driver of the ball. He putted a little out of his mind on Thursday, which is he's not going to putt like that the rest of the week. But I just think that this is a course that he can really like make some noise at. It's so hard to get your first win at a major. I mean, that would be pretty crazy, I think. Xander's up there. I just feel like everything goes through Brooks, right? Like he's one back. He's just in such a premium position.
And he knows it, and everybody else knows it too.
I know. I just like you look at the rest of the board and you're like, do I trust Finau? No. Do I trust Justin Rose? Not really. He drove it terribly on Thursday and still put together it was kind of a crazy 4-under round. I don't know. I just it's like it feels a little Vince Carter.gif-ish, right? Like with Brooksy.
I hope so. I certainly hope so. It does kind of feel that way, and it feels like there's who Lowry was playing with him, and Lowry was like, "Oh yeah, he looks good. Like, yeah, you guys are in trouble." Like,
when somebody who's in your group who's a major champion who Shane
the
Lowry,
most recent major champion.
Yeah, Shane Lowry understands like what winning a major looks like. I mean, he saw it up close with DJ at 16 at Oakmont. He's won a major. Then he sees it with Brooks, and you're like, yeah, this is problematic. Like, this is not good.
Yeah,
and he played good. Lowry played good. What did he shoot, 2 under?
He's
been playing.
I think he
Shane
played
Lowry
pretty well
shot
at
2 under.
Yeah, he played well at Southland last week as well for a while.
He's rounding. You mentioned Scottie Scheffler putting out of his mind. He gained 3 strokes putting. He's usually a negative putter. Danny Lee similarly gained 3 strokes putting today. He's usually a below average putter. Those are guys that we expect regression to come back for. Go ahead, KP.
How about Adam Scott? Just, no golf in 6 months, drops in off the he's probably surfing just for the last, 6 weeks. Drops a 68, probably carrying like 3 putters in the bag, whatever.
At least.
He's just so cool.
He's the coolest guy on tour.
And then so I made this point in our CBS Slack chat, and I said Adam Scott is kind of the original Rory of like just this elite swing. He'll say whatever. Like he's lighting up Bryson after the round. He says, "Yeah, I expected him to be longer off the tee."
Well, he's been hearing about it for 6 months. He thought he'd be longer than that.
That's true. Wait, and Adam Scott. So Andy Johnson of the Fried Egg has made this point. He's like, Adam Scott is one of the guys that's hurt the most by this modern kind of driver, like how big it is, because he freaking flushes everything. And then you get Bryson, who's like just swinging literally as hard as he can because he's not worried about any misses. Like he can control his misses in a way that hurts somebody like Adam Scott. So anyway, 68 from him. I thought that was cool.
All right, we got to get out of here, but we would be remiss if we did not give Kyle Porter 20 seconds to go walk us through another Jordan Spieth all by himself on the range 3 hours after he completes his round grinding drivers. This guy's working on something.
Yeah, I mean, he's working on something. I don't know if it's the right thing. He's lost. Yeah. I mean, they've lost the course. We might have lost Jordan Spieth. I mean, he was -2. Did you like that, Greg?
Yeah. This is the one round where we've decided we've lost
Jordan Spieth. He was -2 on off the tee and approach shots. It was not good. It was very bad, and it's just a bummer. I mean, I texted out a pic to you guys earlier in the week where we've got Cameron McCormick with like his phone and like his hands all over Jordan's backswing, and you're like, well, this isn't going to go very well. No. And then it didn't.
That doesn't look like a team that's very confident in what they're working in. Well, we'll find out how he does on Friday, see if anything on the range worked. We'll be back after every round giving you recaps, analysis, and previews for the next day. Let me thank Greg Ducharme for joining us. You can find him on Twitter at TheRealGFD. Let me thank Kyle Porter. You can find him on Twitter at KylePorterCBS. You can find me on Twitter at RickRunGood. This has been The First Cut. We'll catch you next time.